What's he been up to now? Stay tuned and all will be revealed. Well, good afternoon everyone and welcome back to Piccadilly. Now, as I pan round, you're probably all expecting some work to have been done on the station throat. Well, unfortunately, life has got in the way, I'm afraid, and nothing has happened here. However, I have done some other things, so let's take a look. Well, first up, this was a nice little memento from the Great Electric Train Show. And I can't believe that was such a long time ago now. And we're actually in November now, and Christmas is starting to loom now, isn't it? It's unbelievable, really, how time flies. But this was a giveaway, if you like, by Chris from the Roundnuts. And he did 25 for each day, Saturday and then Sunday, and then 50 in total. So this was a smaller version of the Watford Junction sculpture, which is actually outside the real station. And Chris made the scale version for 00 gauge. And so I thought I'd just see if I could get one, which I think is a nice, as I said, a nice little memento. So it's around about, what, 6 centimetres long, give or take. And I've painted it up, and I also mounted it onto this plinth, if you like. And this was the type of thing that I used on those iPad supports, if you remember that. And this would have been the lip that the iPad sort of sits against at the bottom. So I thought I'd just make it a little bit smaller, and that would make a perfect sort of frame, if you like, for the Watford Junction sculpture. So I thought that was really nice. Anyway, so big thanks to Chris for that, and I hope you like what I've done with it. Now, having been to the show and seeing this, the Making Tracks team has inspired me to do something. Now, for those of you who went, you probably would notice they'd got a couple of Class 730s running on the layout now, and obviously these were going to be a new feature of the West Coast Main Line soon, because the 350s will be replaced. Well, some of them will anyway. I think the 352s are going, I think. Don't quote me on that. But it inspired me to have a go at making my own. And here we go. There's cab number 1 and cab number 2. And they are, in essence, the same. Now, I'll be honest, Chris did offer me the files for these. But one of the things I've found is that when you try and scale something down from 00 gauge down to N gauge, it doesn't always work. Because things are, well, structures are certain thickness in 00 gauge and they're fine, but you take them down to N gauge, you halve their thickness, and sometimes the printers don't like it and they won't produce it. So it doesn't always scale down properly. So I thought I might as well have a go at building it from scratch, and then I know what I produce is going to work. Now, I did paint these green initially, and there will be some green ones eventually, but I thought, actually, I'm just going to have a go. Now, it's not a scale representation. I'm not going to go as far as to say that, but I have taken it from as many photographs as I can find on the internet, and also some scale drawings that I can find. So to try and get the angles right and get the lights in the right place, I think it looks okay. I'm quite pleased with that. But it inspired me to have a go at actually making the real train. Now, so this will be a 3-car unit, and it will be a dummy. Now, the idea being is that, as far as I'm aware, these are never going to run up near Manchester. But that's never going to say that something's not going to happen on a drag. So I'll put it behind class 47, for example, or 57, for example, and just have that pulling it around. And I think that will be absolutely fine. And with the reversing loop, I can take it up, down, here, there, and everywhere. So it will be absolutely fine, I think. So anyway, that. Now, the other thing I've been up to is a class 185. Well, as you can see, there's quite a few in here. So first of all, we've got that one. And I just kept producing them because I thought each variant has got to get a little bit closer to what the real thing is. Sorry about that wobble. But if you notice, the thing that was really putting me off and made me keep going was the lights. and I think that's all of them in there, and then that one. And first of all, I made the lights far too big, and then the second lot, like that one, which I'll just show you there. That can focus. But the thing is, that just didn't look quite right. And so I thought I'll keep going. And that's when I started to make the lights a lot smaller, where you can see it doesn't look quite right. Now, the one thing I have done is made the lights ever so slightly proud, and they're not on the real thing. But to try and paint something of such minuteness would be quite difficult. So I thought I'd make them a little bit proud, and it just makes them stand out a little bit better. But again, those lights are just not quite right. So this is my latest version. There are two of them, obviously. Now, please bear in mind, these do look a bit messy. The colours are not quite right yet, and I've just painted them once or twice. They need a lot of touch-up, and you can see particularly on this one, the silver's gone all over the place, and it's not looking good here. But that's just a paint job. That's really easy to do. But I think it's getting a lot closer. So I'm quite pleased with that now. And yes, I have put holes in there. I don't think I'll be lighting them on this occasion, but if as and when I feel like it, the holes are ready, and it will just be nice and easy to put an LED behind each one of those. So that's coming on quite nicely, I think. Now, the other thing I've been doing is I sort of make these bogies. Now, the reason I'm doing it is because they are very difficult to get a hold of. These will be for the 185, and these will be the same bogies that I used, I think, on the 350s. But I don't want to sacrifice a class 350 to make a 185, because I'd rather keep both trains running, if I'm honest with you. So I thought I'd have a go. Now, the camera's not particularly kind being up quite so close, but I think once that's been painted up, bearing in mind this is N gauge and it's about 25mm long, I think that'll be absolutely fine. And yes, okay, it does look a bit rough on the top, but that's the bit that connects to the bottom of the train. So for those of you who saw me at the Great Electric Train Show, I might have mentioned I bought a reaming tool from DCC Concepts. So I put it in between those, reamed out the hole, and then I found these Pendolino wheels. Well, this video is fast becoming a collection of things in pots, isn't it? So this is a 350 motor unit, and there's the motor inside there, and you can see there is one worm drive, and then you've got this gear tower which then clips into the bottom just like so. And then using a magnetic brass strips, that then connects to that part just like that. And then there is another bogie with also pickups on it, which is here somewhere, or perhaps not. Oh, there it is, with pickups on it, and then that connects to those two brass strips through two little slots in the chassis. So my 185 will be using this particular setup, and what I've done with the 350 is taken out one of the motors, and well, taken out this motor, and then the whole train will be powered using one motor. Now, because it's only one bogie on that 350, it has been a bit of a struggle, but I'll show you that shortly. Now you might be thinking, what on earth is this? Well, this is very, very thin plastic card, and it's probably about 0.3 of a millimetre in thickness. And I've cut them out on the Cricut machine. Now, I've managed to find drawings of the 185 from both sides. And so I was able to create these window configurations, and you can see I've even managed to get these funny slotted windows which appear on the left hand side of each cab. And if you look at the other side, it hasn't got them because the driver sits on the left hand side of each cab. So I think that's going to be working out absolutely fine. And just to show you something else as well. There you go. You can see that's the 730's bodies as well. So I will be getting those assembled just as I've showed you on the 185 version. I'll show you when I've done. Well, I did go through this procedure when I did the 323, but I've refined it ever so slightly. So now you can see that I've managed to 3D print that body shell or body side on the 3D printer, and all this sort of ribbing inside here is just support material. So that would just need a bit of a sand and then it snaps off. This one is the 185 and that one is the 730. There you go. So there's one of the body sides been snapped off. That's the support material underneath, and that just has to be binned, I'm afraid. But I'm really pleased with the way that's come out there. That's in places, the thick part at the bottom is about 1 millimetre, but this is slightly less. Now, you might be thinking, well, why don't you just resin print all this stuff? Well, firstly, I haven't got a resin printer. And two, I can't buy this in Engage. Nobody does it, not even CMAG. It probably would if I asked him to, but even then, what's the cost going to be? So doing it this way, I'm quite liking the fact that actually I can flush glaze. Well, what I've done now, you might be able to see there is a strip of acetate there, and that is printable acetate that you use for your printer, and you put it under an OHP. Now, I know those are long gone, but you can still get the acetate. So what I've done is I literally just glue on the top section first, and then using clamps, put it on the bottom. All the way along. I managed to get these tiny little clamps, or pegs if you like, from Amazon, little metal clips with a spring in the back, and I think there's about 100. Right, so there, and also these, I've got these from Lidl. So the next thing to do then is to stick the body shell onto the actual 3D printed structure. So you can see the flush glazing effect that I'm going for on that one, although it's actually the shape above that is the correct one for this particular shell. But once that's been glued on, starting with the top first, clamp it all along with those little metal clamps, and then go in again afterwards and then force the body around the curvature of the actual body shape itself. It'll be fine. Now, you might be thinking, well, what about the roof? Well, I must admit I was a bit sceptical about the roofs and thinking it's never going to print. But I printed these on the newer of my two machines. And although it's not perfect, I mean, if Bachmann was to try and sell that, I think everybody would literally just fall over themselves and laugh. But I think at the end of the day, for somebody who's printing it on a home printer, I think that would be absolutely fine. And there are different variations for the cabs. So there's two of these. So you've got the bits. I think that's an air conditioning unit. So I'll have to put it down. I think that's an air conditioning unit there. And then you've got the central control system, I think, in the middle. But also notice there is an exhaust port there. Probably just make out the hole just there. And there's one of those on each of the things as well. So I've managed to get it as an actual hole as such. So I think it's coming along. I think once all that's put together, I think hopefully that should work. Right, a bit of an update then. So you can see I've got the 185 bodies put together now. This does need a little bit of working on, a little bit of filling and all that sort of stuff, a bit of sanding. These look a bit rough and ready at the edges and all that, obviously that roof bit there as well. But it's definitely coming along bit by bit, by bit by bit. So, yeah. And the cab ends as well. Now, for those of you who saw the beginning of the video will remember that I had a fully painted cab, which unfortunately didn't come off the raft very well. The printer suddenly decided to close up the air gap between the raft and the actual print itself, so I've had to modify that. That's the investigation underway. So I'm hoping it'll be all right, but you can see that's looking a bit rough and ready. It'll just need a bit more of a sand up, and once I start getting paint on it, sand it again, paint, sand it again, the paint will fill the gaps and so on and so on. But you definitely get in there bit by bit. So there's the last one, and obviously you can see the bodies are different as they are on the real thing. I think the toilet is here, hence this big gap just at this point, but you can see we're getting there. So I'm doing the same with the 730, although we're nowhere close with that one yet. It's still the separate body sides, printing the roofs as we speak, and I've done the end vestibules, which I will show you, which are these, and obviously the gangway is a lot wider in the 730s than it is on the 185s. So, you know, whether it's true, completely accurate, I'll be honest, it's N gauge. I'm not really that worried, to be honest. It's a representation of the train, and I may decide to have another go in the future as technology changes and improves, but we'll see how it goes. All right, catch you later. So there we go. This is about as much as I'm going to do for now. I'll show you the 730 in a minute, and each of these. So this is just a base silver, and the transfers obviously will go over the top. This is just the start of delivery, but the transfers will do the rest. So I'm looking at that now thinking I think in my opinion that looks like a 185. So I'm quite pleased with that now. And the centre coach, which I did show you, does look a little bit rough and ready without the livery on it, but you know, this is the way life is at the minute. And the windows need a little bit of attention, but they just got a bit dirty when I was doing the sanding, that's all. So I had a bit of a wash, that'd be fine. So that's that one. So there's the 730. That's the sides have literally just been glued together now. So you can see the end vestibules, they're all been glued on, and same with each of those. But I'm quite liking these. You know, it's I think they suit the orange better than they do the green, I have to be honest. That was probably why I was attracted to the orange, because they'd got that on making tracks, and I thought that is a really nice eye-catching train. And they do have a strange looking cab, but quite likeable really, haven't they? But particularly with these sort of, I'm not sure quite what you'd call them really, eyebrows, whiskers, I'm not sure. I mean, they are kind of reminiscent of the 101s, 108s, when they used to have the wasp stripes on the front, didn't they? So it's kind of reminiscent to that, but I quite like it. And the orange one particularly, it'll be a nice striking train to watch going around the layout. So there we go, it's underway. And as I said, this will be a dummy with a drag, so there'll be a locomotive pulling it. Now you might have noticed this particular one has had the coupling removed. If you notice that one there, it's got the Delna coupling on it, whereas this one has just got an empty space now. Well, that's ready for a magnetic coupling, a swingable one. So the arm will literally just swing from side to side, and then that will be easily connected to a locomotive. So that's what my solution for that. Anyway, let's go and have a look at the 350 that I've converted to an 8-car with one motor. Blimey. Well, there's the 350, and that's been doubled up. Now, this is a bit of a story of woe, I'm afraid. When I first did it, put it on the test track, the motor's in that car there. It wasn't strong enough, and it was just wheel spinning. And then it was Robert from Robert's Train Set who suggested putting a pair of traction tyres on it. And I must admit, at first I poo-pooed the idea, and then tried to get it to work, and I thought I'll give it a go. And on the test track, the polystyrene layout, just the oval, it just run round, no problems at all. But putting it here on Piccadilly, which I was just about to film, just, you know, sorry, to show you where the motors come from, it wouldn't have it. I got it just inside that tunnel, and it's just wheel spinning. So what it means is I'm going to have to use the same type of arrangement that I've used in the 323 centre coach, because both of those bogies are powered. So I will have to convert that particular unit, which I've got downstairs, 3D printer body, which is a suitable size, and see what I can do. It might mean I have to get hold of some more cardon shafts, you know, the little rods, which are slightly shorter. I just don't know. But that's a bit of a shame, really, because I did have it running beautifully on the test layout, and but there we go. That's the way life is sometimes. So I'll push it back into Piccadilly Station, and I'll show you something else running. There you go. Now, there is a habit of them stopping at these points here, so hopefully this will just keep going. Yeah, I thought it might. But hopefully. The reason for that is because I've not wired in the frog juicer. I haven't run these these pendolinos for a little while, so it should be all right now. It's on the main line. As we just see the pendolino just making its way around there. I do hope you've enjoyed seeing the start of the 185 and the 730 builds. And as a nice segue over to this area here, I will be doing this area, but as we start school again next week, I don't think it will be until the Christmas holiday, if I'm being bluntly honest. Anyway, you just take care of yourself, and I'll see you again very soon here on Piccadilly. Bye for now.